All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the information session here at Widener University Delaware Law School. My name is Eric Niskern. I am the Director of Recruitment and Diversity Enrollment Initiatives for the law school. I'm joined by my colleague who will introduce herself as well.
Hi, my name is Heather Hope Curuvilla, and I am the admissions counselor here at Delaware Law School.
And tonight, our presentation is twofold. First, we want to talk a little bit about some of the programs that make Delaware Law School unique and special, and I think a great choice for many people. And then we're going to transition over and talk about the application process. Heather Hope will talk about the different components of the application, how we review them, and how you can put your best foot forward with each of those parts of the application. We will ask that you hold all questions about both sections until the end, and we will leave ample time at the end of the evening to address any questions you have. You're welcome to drop your questions in the chat, or at that time, you can also raise your hand and speak your question as well, whichever you're more comfortable with. But we will leave plenty of time at the end to answer any questions that you have about anything that we talk about tonight. With that, I'm going to share my screen so you can see our PowerPoint presentation. All right. So there are, I think, many things about Delaware Law School that make us unique, are special, and again, great choices. And each of those things we're going to talk a little bit about more in depth. You can see here some of the things that we will be covering. First is our location. For those of you that aren't familiar with the law school, we are located in Wilmington, Delaware. We are outside of downtown, about 15 minutes, right off Route 202. So for those of you that are from the area, if you're familiar with Concord Mall, we are literally right next door to the Concord Mall, about 2 miles from the Pennsylvania border. We are separate from Widener University's main campus, which is located in Chester, Pennsylvania, about 15, 20-minute drive away. So at our law school, it is just students who are studying the law. We have our JD program, which is what we're talking about tonight. And then we also offer LLM programs. So it's nice at the campus here in Wilmington, it's just students that are interested in studying the law. We're located on a 34-acre suburban campus with lots of free parking. Which for those of you that are currently in school or have been to college, you know what a special thing that is to be able to park on campus and not have to pay for it. And we're also unique that we have on-campus housing available to students that are interested. So if you choose to live on campus, we have plenty of single dorms to choose from, as well as apartments for upper-level students. So it can not only be the place that you study the law, but it can also be your home for the next few years. We're very close to all of the major metropolitan areas in the Mid-Atlantic. So we're easy drive to Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York City, and Washington, D.C., as well as an easy train ride from all of those cities as well. So it's a really nice central location in the Mid-Atlantic region. And our campus, because I mentioned students live on campus, it's not a school where things shut down at 5 o'clock when classes are over. There's always something going on. It's a very vibrant, inclusive campus where we strive to make sure that all of our students feel like they belong there and have a place where they feel comfortable. So there are a lot of great opportunities for students to get involved, whether it's through social organizations, academic clubs, affinity groups. We have lots of honor societies, including mock trial and moot court teams, law reviews for students that are interested in writing and researching. So lots of ways for students to be engaged on our campus. We have many different ways that students can enroll at the law school. So the traditional program is our regular division, which is a full-time program, which lasts 3 years for fall and spring semester. We also offer an extended division program, and that's a 4-year program for students that aren't able to attend full-time during the day. We don't allow students who are attending law school full-time to work more than 20 hours a week. So if you're somebody that is planning to keep the job that you have while you're in law school, or needs to keep it for financial or insurance reasons, you can still attend law school at Delaware Law, and you would do it on a part-time evening basis. It's 1 extra year, 4 years as opposed to 3. We have 2 dual degree options. So if you're interested in studying more than the law, you can pursue a JD and MBA offered through Widener University Delaware Law School and Widener University School of Business in Chester. Credits will transfer from each of those programs to the other, so it takes less time and cost less money than if you were to pursue those degrees separately. We also offer a JD MPH, which is the Master's in Public Health Joint Degree Program, and that's in conjunction with Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. Those are programs that you can apply for after you've completed your first year of law school. So they aren't something that you apply for as an incoming student. Once you've completed your first year, and we do have faculty advisors who will work with you to make sure that you qualify and walk you through that process. But if you're admitted to the other program, beginning your second year of law school, you would start taking both JD courses and courses in the other discipline. We also have the Trial Admissions Program, or TAP for short, which is an alternative admissions program for students that the committee feels have potential to succeed in law school, but may be lacking in one of the numerical academic indicators, typically either their undergraduate GPA or their standardized test score is a little bit under where we're typically comfortable admitting. When the applications are being reviewed by the committee, if the committee feels you qualify for the TAP program, you would be offered that as opposed to outright admission or denied admission. TAP is offered every summer, usually from the end of May till the end of June. This summer, it will be offered virtually, so you won't have to be on campus to participate. And it's offered in the evening, so whether you're applying as a full-time day student or a part-time evening student, you are able to participate in the TAP program. Students take 3 courses with our faculty, and they're graded separately in each of those 3 courses on a 4.0 scale. And if their cumulative GPA is a 2.3 or better, they're offered admission to whichever program they had originally applied for, either regular or extended division. So for applicants who may have struggled, again, either academically, their grades aren't where they'd like them to be, or they haven't excelled on the LSAT or other standardized tests, but still feel like they would be a strong law student and still want to be considered for admission, it's an alternative way for them to show that they're capable of doing the work and should be in law school. And every year we get amazing students from that program who go on and almost always do very well and rank at the top of their class. Of course, we want to talk about scholarships. We have a very generous merit scholarship program. So everybody who's accepted to Delaware Law School receives some type of merit scholarship. And that's something that you're awarded at the time of admission. So from the very beginning, when you receive your offer of admission, you will know what your merit scholarship is as well. Those are the decisions in terms of the amount of scholarship are made using the same criteria that we use to determine admission, which Heather Hope will talk about a little bit later in the program. And they're all renewable as long as you maintain good academic standing. So whatever you come in with, as long as you maintain that good standing, you'll keep for your 3 years if you're full-time or 4 years as a part-time student. We also have returning student scholarships, which are something that you would apply for after your first year. And there's currently now probably about 35 to 40 of those scholarship awards, and they are funded through the generosity of Friends of the Law School, alumni, and there's quite a few in terms of the diversity in terms of what you need to do to qualify. So we encourage students in the spring semester of their first year to take a look at the website, at those awards, determine which ones they may qualify for, and encourage you to apply. They're all one-time awards, and currently they range, I think the smallest is about $500, and there are a few that are more than $20,000. So that would be in addition to the incoming merit-based scholarship that you receive from the admissions office. There are many ways for you to specialize your degree if you choose to. Now, keep in mind, law school is different from undergraduate school. At the undergraduate level, at some point in your career, you do have to declare a major. Law school, it's not the case. We have many students that are very general in terms of the courses that they take. They're interested in many areas. They want to explore. They're not sure what they want to do with their law degree, and that's fine. But there's also many students who come in with very specific ideas about what they hope to do with their law degree. And so these programs give those students an opportunity to focus a little bit more their studies if they're interested. Of course, you wouldn't be surprised that being located in Wilmington, Delaware, our largest and oldest signature program is the Institute of Delaware Corporate and Business Law. We attract a lot of students to the state of Delaware because of its ties to the corporate law world. And it's a great way for students to get very concentrated training in the world of corporate law. There's also the Corporate Law Journal, so there's opportunities for writing and research in business and corporate law. And we are the home of one of the most prestigious corporate mock trial competitions as well. So lots of ways for students to immerse themselves in the business world if they're interested in that. We have the Tayshoff Advocacy, Technology, and Public Service Institute. And this is really for students that are interested in a career in litigation, whether they're looking at criminal or civil law. It's an opportunity for them to take courses and engage in practical programs that will focus on every aspect of putting on a trial, so that when students graduate, they are practice ready, ready to go into court on day one and do the work that they've been learning in law school. Through a generous donation from the Tayshoff family, we do have a technology courtroom on campus that has all of the technology currently being used in courts across the country. So students, while they're in law school, would have an opportunity to see that technology, practice with it, and again, become comfortable with the new innovative courtrooms that will be available to them when they graduate and are out in practice. We offer the Global Environmental Rights Institute, which covers a variety of areas. Environmental law is a pretty broad area and a very popular area of law right now. So issues surrounding sustainability, climate change, energy law, toxic torts, and all kinds of issues surrounding constitutional, international issues are covered in the Global Environmental Rights Institute. Our Family Health Law and Policy Institute focuses on the laws that affect the functionality and health of the family unit. So there are programs and courses in dealing with hospital and healthcare administration, issues surrounding reproductive rights, rights of the parent, anything that affects the family unit is covered in the Family and Health Law Policy Institute. And finally, our newest program, which is the Dignity Rights Institute, which is sort of like our public interest program. It's the first of its kind in the world, and I think currently still the only one of its kind in the United States. The program is really designed to allow students to identify the population that they wish to serve and then assist them in turning that into a career that can sustain them. So whether you're interested in working with children, maybe with immigrants, with refugees, with veterans, whatever that population is that you're hoping to serve as an attorney, the Dignity Rights Institute will help you figure out how that looks as a career after graduation. A lot of great opportunities for research, writing, and work outside of the classroom through that institute as well. All students at Delaware Law School are expected to complete, I think it's 6 credits of practical learning. So you're not just learning the law and the theory of the law, you're learning how to practice law. So again, on day one, when you get out, you've passed the bar, and now you're an attorney working for a firm or agency, you know how to do that work. And there are lots of ways that you can complete those credits. As you can see on the screen, we have several clinical opportunities. So whether you're interested in civil, criminal, environmental, whatever it is, there are a lot of great ways for you to work with actual people who need legal representation and can't afford it. So you can do great work for people in the state of Delaware. There's opportunities in Pennsylvania as well, and to get credit towards your JD. Externships are similar to clinics, but off campus. So you would be going out and working, whether it's in a judge's chambers, it could be in a government or a nonprofit office, healthcare administration, but you're doing legal work and reporting to a licensed attorney, and again, receiving credit for that work towards your JD. We also have a very unique program. It's only one of its kind in the United States, the Wolcott Fellowship, which allows students in their final year of law school to clerk for a member of the Delaware Supreme Court or the Delaware Chancery Court. Now, after the United States Supreme Court, those 2 courts are probably the most influential courts in the entire United States. They make decisions that impact the entire country. So it's an amazing opportunity for students to work with justices in the most prestigious courts in the country. There's a fellowship that goes along with that will help to fund them while they're participating. But it's, again, a very unique program. It's rare that students in law school have the opportunity to clerk with the bench and bar at the highest level in their state. We also have the Public Interest Resource Center, which allows students who are interested in working in public interest a variety of opportunities to do so. There's funding available to help offset costs while you're participating in those programs, which typically don't pay or don't pay very much. Lots of great opportunities there. So we encourage students that are interested in public interest law to seek out those directors, find out what the opportunities are. Because of our great location in the Mid-Atlantic, those opportunities exist not only in the state of Delaware, but in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland as well. We have some great offices on campus beyond admissions that are here to assist you once you get here. So as a student, we encourage you to use the services of the Career Development Office. The staff there offer a variety of workshops and trainings throughout the year that will help you put together your resume. They offer programming on interviewing skills. They'll conduct mock interviews with you, things that will help you get ready for your professional career. They administer and support all of our both on-campus and off-campus interview programs. So whether they're bringing employers onto campus to meet you or facilitating you to go to them, all of that is handled through the Career Development Office. They also host networking events throughout the year, so you'll have opportunities to meet alumni who are out in the world practicing, maybe doing what you're hoping to do with your law degree, which I think is a really important thing for our students. Most of our students, I think something about 85% of our students are first-generation law students, and about a third of them are first-generation college graduates. So most of our students have not worked with an attorney or even met an attorney before they came to law school. So these events are a really great way for them to begin building their professional network. We have our Office of Student Affairs that offers all kinds of support, academic and personal, while you're in law school so that you can make the most out of your time at Delaware Law School. We have an academic success program. So for students who may be struggling in courses in their first year, the program is designed to help figure out where your weaknesses are, to support you and to strengthen those areas so that you can succeed. We also have mental health resources on campus. So if students are really struggling with acclimating to law school or going through other things while they're trying to juggle law school, we have professionals on campus that can offer that kind of support as well. Great mentorship programs. So whether you're paired with a current student or an alumni or both, again, it's another opportunity for you as a law student to begin building your professional network and meeting with people who have gone through what you've gone before and can provide support, advice, feedback. Sometimes it may just be a, hey, I know you had a rough day, but you can still do it. That can be very helpful. And we have more than 13,000 alumni all over the country and around the world. So they're everywhere and very supportive of the law school. So with that, I am going to turn things over to Heather Hope, who will talk about the admissions process.
Okay. So, before we get into the specifics of the admissions process, we just have this slide kind of introducing our approach to admissions and what the criteria are. So we take a very holistic approach to the admissions process in as I start going over with you, what the components of the application are. What I really want to highlight for you is that all of the things that you submit, so your personal statement and the optional additional materials that you can submit, everything is going to be read by the members of the admissions committee. So the committee is really taking in everything that you submit and getting to understand who you are as a person, what makes you an individual, what you can bring to the law school and to, your cohort, your class, and then what that potential success looks like for you. So that means that we're not just considering that undergraduate GPA and the LSAT score. They are part of the process, but they are not the entire process. And so part of that is that we are aiming to have a class that is diverse, that is inclusive, where students are bringing unique perspectives to the conversation, to the discussion around the topics that come up in your law classes. That's very important to us here at Delaware Law School. And can you advance for me, please, Eric?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the overview. We're going to have a slide on each one of these, so I'm not going to go into any details yet, but just so you know, the required components, you have to have a completed bachelor's degree by the time you start. You have to have a standardized test score. You're going to submit a personal statement that you've written, and there's a character and fitness question that if you answer yes to, you'll need to provide some additional information. And then optional are the letters of recommendation, a resume, and any additional addenda, and then the enhancement statement. So let's dive into those and explain what that all means. In advance, please. Okay, bachelor's degree. There is no specific major required. So, of course, there's lots of people who are applying to law school who are coming out of a legal studies program or a poli-sci program, even philosophy. But we're not looking for any specific major. You can major in kind of anything and still be successful in law school. So, what's important is that you do have coursework that shows that you have the skills of being able to do research, that you can do written communication. Oral communication is also great. Logic courses can be very helpful. But there's no specific, like, bachelor's subject matter that you will have had to focus on to be successful in law school. Also, your transcripts, when you submit them, we'll be looking at those again, not just for that GPA, but the depth and scope, the types of classes that you were taking. We're also looking at things like grade trend. So if you had a rough start to undergrad and maybe you didn't perform as well as you would have liked that first year, but there's an upward trend in your grades after that, or if there's a downtrend at some point and you can tell us an addenda that, something happened that semester that impacted your ability to perform to the level you expect of yourself, we will take those things into consideration. It's not just what is the final GPA. Okay, next, please. Okay, so I mentioned standardized tests. You do have to have a standardized test score. LSAT is still the primary test that we look to. Now, depending on where you are in the process, if you haven't taken your LSAT yet, it's offered multiple times a year. You can do it digitally, remotely, or you can do it on site at a center. You would sign up for that through lsac.org, and you need to have that lsac.org credentials set up anyway because you're going to be using them for your paperless applications to law schools. So that is the primary test that we look to. And again, we're not just looking at your average, we're looking at all of the scores. So if you've taken that multiple times, we will, just like with the GPA, consider, has there been an upward trend? Maybe your first time taking it, you didn't, hit the goal you had set for yourself, but you go back, you study, you take it again, and you have that upward trend in the LSAT score. That's something that we are going to consider. We do not just take the LSAT, but it is the primary one that we look to. So the other options that you may be familiar with, the JD Next, we do accept the JD Next. You would have that score reported directly to us in the admissions office. But if you have a reportable LSAT score, we will not consider the JD Next. So if you have the JD Next and the LSAT, we're going to look at the LSAT for your application. The other test that you might be familiar with is the GRE. That is a test that has been around for ages and is used for a lot of graduate programs. So we do accept it, but there are a number of restrictions on that test. So one, we can't use it for more than 10% of our entering class. Um, and then on top of that, you yourself would have had to be in the top 10% of your undergraduate class or had a 3.5 cumulative GPA through 6 semesters. So we're going to need your official class rank reported to us by your undergraduate school. Your official GRE score reports, we would then be able to access. And the GRE scores are equivalent to the top 50 percentile or higher of the LSAT based on the official ETS conversion tool. So there's a tool that ETS, the company that developed and administers the GRE, they've developed a tool that will convert that GRE score to an LSAT score. And then after that conversion, you have to be in the top 50 percentile. Submit your completed application by April 1st. And again, just like with the JD Next, if you have a reportable LSAT score, that's what we're going to rely on with the admissions. We won't consider the GRE if you have an LSAT reported.
And I just want to clarify, Heather Hope, just so people understand,
Yes.
for those of you that have taken the LSAT more than once, while we do consider all scores, your high score will be the score that we
Yes.
give the greatest weight to.
Yes, thank you for that. I should have said that. Okay. Okay, so the personal statement, this is a required piece of writing that you will submit with your application. And this is something that is there so that the admissions committee can really consider the factors of who you are and what your journey to law school has been outside of those, pure academic numbers. It's a very open-ended prompt. So it's a chance for you to tell your story, to express yourself, to provide information that otherwise would not come through in the paper application. And it can be helpful in there to provide the story of why it is that you see yourself being successful in law school or successful in the career you see for yourself after law school. A couple tips with a personal statement. Take time on this. It's a required piece of writing, and so it's going to be considered not just for the story it's telling you, but also for your writing ability. You don't want to submit something that reads like a first or second draft, has grammar errors, mechanical errors. It's hard to follow your train of thought. You're jumping topics between paragraphs. This is a chance to show how you are with written communication. So, be concise. 2 or so pages is probably going to be your story, maybe 3, but we're not looking for 5 or 6 pages here. You want to work on it over several drafts. I would personally recommend when you think it's done, set it aside for a day or two and then go back to it and read it again. Or even better, have someone who knows you really well read it. And when they give you that feedback, take it, from best intentions and use it to make it even better. Um, it's not a time to submit something that reads like a text message or an email to a friend. It should be a polished piece of writing that you've spent some time on. Okay, and advance, please. Okay. Character and fitness. I really want to highlight here what our character and fitness question is. So have you ever received an academic warning, been placed on probation, disciplined, suspended, or dismissed by any learning institution or licensing board for any reason? This is not a criminal history question. We do not ask about your criminal history as part of our application. So this is more you had an academic warning in undergrad, or if you've done grad school during grad school, if you have a previous profession that had a licensing requirement and there was an issue that came up with the licensing board for that profession, this is where you would explain those previous academic or professional stumbles. We're not asking about your criminal history. That's not a requirement on our application. Um, you should fully disclose. You should be honest. And if you do have something in your history that makes you unsure about your future ability to be admitted to the bar in the jurisdiction that you hope to practice, this is not the time because we're not asking about that. But what you can do is check with the Board of Bar Examiners. They have links out to the requirements for every jurisdiction's bar, and you can see if there's something that you need to, be aware of as you're planning your future professional steps.
And I want to add for this with
Yes.
academic warnings, it's not uncommon for someone to not to be unaware of the fact that they were placed on academic warning for a semester or for a year. It's not uncommon for schools to not necessarily in that semester notify you. There's usually a handbook that will tell you if you fall below a certain GPA at a certain time, you're considered on probation. So if you're not sure whether or not you have to answer yes to this question, something I always recommend that you do is get a copy of your transcript first before you apply and take a look at it, just to make sure, number one, that it's accurate. But number two, if there is a warning or probation on it, then you know you need to answer yes to this question and provide that information.
Okay, thank you. Okay, letters of recommendation. These are optional. We accept up to 3. If you're going to include letters of recommendation, you should, be mindful and smart about who you're asking. This should be someone who can talk about you as a student or as a, professional colleague. who can talk to your strengths, who can, kind of be your cheerleader a little bit. It does not matter to us what the title is at the top of their letterhead or below their signature. So, getting a letter from the dean or president of your undergraduate institution who met you with, one time at a cocktail hour, that they can't speak to you. They don't know you as an individual. We would much rather have a letter from a faculty member, even if they're a part-time adjunct faculty who has had you and really got to know them in the class. You were going to their office hours. Maybe they taught you across a number of classes in the program and can really speak to your strengths. Same thing of a professional, um, letter of recommendation. If maybe you've been working as a paralegal at a law firm, the partner whose name is on the letterhead and has never spoken to you is not going to write you a good letter of recommendation. But the associate who you've been working tightly with for years and they can really talk about your work ethic and your intelligence and your drive, that's the person. We do not care about what letters come after their name or what title is under their signature. We want someone who can really speak to you. Also, a couple tips for this. Letters of recommendation are actually pretty difficult to write for a lot of people. So give them plenty of time. Don't say, I'm trying to apply by the end of the week. They have things going on and they're not going to be able to give you a letter that's going to really shine on your application for you. So give them plenty of time. I always suggest, letting them know what it is that you're applying for. So you're applying to this law school. Why this law school? Why are you applying? What, strengths do you think you bring to law school? Remind them of that amazing paper you wrote for them or that project that you did. If you're working with professors, some of them have 100 students a semester. And, once you remind them, they'll remember, but they might not remember on their own right away. If you have a resume, you can provide that to them. If you still have a copy of, a paper you wrote for them, provide that to them. Give them the tools they need to write you the best letter possible. Give them plenty of time and make sure you explain to them the process. So again, we're a paperless application, so they're not submitting the letters to us. They should not be putting anything in the mail to Delaware Law School or probably any schools that you're applying to. Everything's going through the LSAC. There is a cover sheet that explains the process, but just include it in your email. Hey, by the way, want to make sure you saw that this is how you'll submit it when it's ready. Um, and I think I covered everything that was in there. So next slide, please. Resume and additional addenda. So a resume is a fantastic way to free up some space in your personal statement. You don't have to go through the 3 summer internships you had if they're on your resume. Now, of course, if it was a pivotal moment, it changed your perspective, it's the reason why you're applying to law school, maybe that does belong in your personal statement, but you don't need to go through the entire list of everything you've done the past couple years, or if you're a non-traditionally aged student, which I was when I was in law school, everything you've done over the last 10 years before you're applying. Put that in your resume. We're going to read it. If you submit it, we're going to read it. It also is a great chance for you to demonstrate, those hard and soft skills that you've gained over the years, that have now brought you to the point of applying to law school. You can include those extracurricular activities if you're doing volunteer work in your community. It doesn't just have to be full-time paid jobs. Those internships, externships, volunteering, anything that gives an insight into your strengths and what you bring to the school. The additional addenda, be mindful about using these. They are optional. Many applicants do not need them. So don't feel like, well, they talked about it at the info session, so I need an addendum. No, you might not. I mentioned if you had a hiccup in undergrad and maybe you had a dip in grades at one point, or you started off, not where you want it to be, you might want to have an addenda for that. If you were sick the first time you took the LSAT and you didn't perform well because you were nauseous halfway through, you can include an addenda to that if you didn't cancel that score. Use them wisely, use them for information that is additional but necessary, but you do not have to include one. It is optional, and many applicants do not need to have them. Okay, next, please. Okay, enhancement statement. This is also optional and it's also someplace to be mindful. Um, it's a chance to share something about your background, your personal lived experience that makes you stand out and be distinctive. It is a chance for you to explain why you would bring a different perspective into your law school cohort, into the classroom space. Um, and it can be a lot of things. It can be faced previously facing discrimination, but it can also be periods of inspiration that have been life-changing for you. So it does not have to be hardship, but it can be. There's a lot of examples in this bullet point, and I don't want to go into all of them because I don't want to just be reading the text that you're looking at. But I think the big thing here is to make sure you're not just rewriting your personal statement. If you've already told the story once, you do not need to retell it in the enhancement statement. And also, be mindful of the name. How is it enhancing your application? What is it adding to your application? If it's redundant, if it's repetitive, um, then it doesn't need to be there. This is optional. There's no, we're not giving more consideration to applicants who include the enhancement statement. It's there's an option for the applicants who need it, but it's not required in any way. So, how to apply to Delaware Law School? I've mentioned a few times that it is a paperless process, so all of your applications will be submitted to us through LSAC. So you'll go to that website. If you've taken the LSAT, you already have an account set up. If you haven't, go get that account set up because that's really the start of the entire process of your journey to law school. Delaware Law is on rolling admissions. Our application opened on October 1st and it will remain open until May 15th. And as rolling admissions, that means that as applications come in, they will be, vetted to make sure that they're complete and then assigned out to the committee to be read. Um, as the applications come in, the read time can extend. So I know applicants always want to know, okay, I submitted it. When will I hear? You can expect it to take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, and at busier times in the cycle, it can be longer than that. Like I've said, everyone on the committee is reading everything that you submit, so that does take time. We do have an application fee, but it is automatically waived through February 1st. So if you apply before then, you don't have to worry about the application fee. It won't be assessed for you. If you are waiting for an LSAT score, know that you can submit your application without it. We will hold it as incomplete, but you don't have to wait for that to come in. You can apply now, get that application fee waived, and we will hold on to that application until we get the LSAT score reported to us. And then once you apply, you can check your application status online at any time. You can do that through our website or through LSAC. That's the ASO, the application status online. You can call the office and we're happy to look that up for you and tell you where you're at. But anything that we tell you, we're looking up basically on the ASO. So you're not reliant on us. That information's available to you at any time. Okay. So stay connected with us. We have virtual office hours twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays where you can meet with an admissions counselor or a member of the admissions staff and ask any questions that have come up as you're navigating the process. We have a ton of materials on our website, and I'll be putting some in the chat in a few moments. And then you can contact us. So our email is delawarelaw@widener.edu, and our phone number is there for you as well. You can get that on our website. And also, since this is a virtual session, I would also love to extend to you the opportunity to come visit us on campus. You can sign up for tours of the campus online, and we would love to show you, the campus and let you experience the community that we offer to you.
All right. So with that, we want to make sure that all of you get your questions answered. So if you have any, you're welcome to either drop them in the chat and we can read them, or if you want to raise your hand and on mic and speak, or I'm sorry, unmute and speak, you're welcome to do that as well. What
And,
questions can
and
we answer?
let's stop that recording so that we feel
Oh,
comfortable
yes, thank
asking
you.
questions.
I promised we would stop recording.